You ready?
Yes, let's go.
Excited.
I'm excited.
Welcome to Overcoming the Limits video and podcast series, where we interview extraordinary people and we dig into their psychology, their motivation, and their journey. My name is Trevor.
And I'm Dan.
And together we are here to ignite inspiration inside of each and every one of you listening and watching today. Yeah, Dan the man. Thanks for being here, dude.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Trevor. I'm really stoked to share my personal life and the motivation behind my 500 incline journey for this year.
Yeah, let's definitely just jump right in. So you are here because you have recently gained a lot of press, basically a lot of publicity on your accomplishments on the incline recently. You are a part of the 500 Club, so you've gone up the incline 500 times in less than 1 year, and you also recently did an incline-a-thon, which is an incredible endurance test. You want to tell us a little bit about what the 500 Club is, more than what I just said, and kind of describe what the incline is as well?
Oh, yeah. So, the 500 incline club is when you attempt to hike the Manitou Incline 500 times. You have 365 days to complete that task. And so basically, the incline is just a whole bunch of stairs where you start at the base, and it's like a 70-degree angle going up. And it's like 2,000 feet of elevation, and that's basically how this hiking trip is done. So it takes an average person around 1 hour to hour and a half to complete it. But since we're all since I'm part of the incline community, we basically, a lot of people do around 30 minutes, 45 minutes, just zooming by a lot of these people. So that's how my journey has began as a 500 into the 500 incline for this year.
Yeah, you were the 24th person to finish, is that right?
Yeah, that is correct. The 24th person in human history to ever complete this awesome task at hand.
Yeah, let's not downplay that. And then also you did it at the age of 25, which is one of the youngest guys who've ever completed it.
Other than that, yeah, I think Eric Klebs, was at 24 years old, so probably one of the youngest people to ever complete that task.
And then back in 2015, a guy named David Romero, he did it at the age of 25 as well. So there's really only you three guys in the 20s that have done that. I think that's pretty amazing to, at such a young age, have so much discipline to do something like that. Because we're talking about, you said 2,000 foot elevation gain, and you did it 500 times. That's 500 times 200. That's 1,000,000 feet of elevation gain.
Yeah, spaceman up there.
I that's incredible. So the amount of discipline that you have, where does that come from? Did you have that your whole life?
Pretty much my whole life is having that discipline, that motivation, and I think it all started when in elementary school, I just was the most energetic kid alive. I jump on the trampoline so many times. I bounce off the walls. I just had that incredible energy I just can't get rid of growing up. And that's how it is me today is I love finding harsh challenges in the world, and I just want to overcome them one step at a time. So that's basically who I am growing up, is having that discipline.
So when you were a kid, what kind of hard challenges did you accomplish as a kid? Because when you're young, everything looks so big. I remember I would have to walk to middle school, and walk back. And I remember thinking this hill was just so incredibly tall. And I went back there later in my life, and I saw the hill, and it was so tiny. It was embarrassing. It's just funny how your perspective changes as you grow up. I'd love to hear what were some of the hard things you did as a kid that you were super proud of.
So basically, knowing my family, my older brother, my younger sister, and my little brother, we've all been introduced into athletics at a very young age. My mom and dad, they played both collegiate sports growing up. And basically, as soon as we came to the world, we have that that athleticism in our DNA to basically we go in the park every day, run around. We went on like some runs too. We walk a lot, and I think my older brother, he wanted to get into football so badly. By fourth grade, he was our first to like basically compete in sports. And then I did cross country around like sixth grade, seventh grade, and by then I basically wanted to find like those harsh challenges because I have so much energy to burn. That's why I always have that like discipline back in my mind to complete that.
Yeah. Did you ever, like, I remember in middle school at those young ages, there were like push-up challenges and PE, and there was like the fastest mile and all sorts of stuff. Did they do that at your school?
Oh, yes. I remember at my old elementary school, we usually have like the mile test, and I wanted to be the first. And I just had that like somehow I wanted to compete. Like that's been in my DNA too, is I love to compete. I love to basically push the boundaries as far as I can. And also that part of the reason too is that I had type 1 diabetes as well. So I'm basically like tolerant to pain as well growing up than any other kid. And that's basically how I'm at this stage right here.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into the diabetes here in a moment, because that's like equally impressive, doing all of these incredible achievements with diabetes. And I think that that's a lot more challenging than most people even understand. So I definitely want to spend some time on that. Going back a little bit, so you said both your parents are collegiate athletes?
Mm-hmm. Yes, my mom played basketball at Gordon College in Massachusetts, and my father played soccer also. And my mom had the 1,000-point like club and whatever, and had the same like accolades. And my father played a lot of soccer overseas. I think not only overseas, but I also played in India like for a few games, and also played soccer too as well.
That's pretty amazing to grow up with those kind of achievements in your family. Did you ever feel like there were big expectations for you and like you had to achieve, and if you didn't, you'd be a failure of some sort? Or
Oh no, not like a failure, but if you try, like we're all pretty supportive of each other too. So we always raise our own expectations. Personally, like my brother tries to lift so much weights as he can. I mean, that's who he is. He loves weightlifting, so he wants to like deadlift the highest, clean the highest, bench press the highest. I mean, that's who he is. I want to run the farthest too. And I mean, my sister as well, she loves playing basketball, and she's currently at Florida Gulf Coast University, as I think in her final senior year playing. So she's like the leader of the team and tries to be like the best athlete out there. And my little brother this weekend is going to be in quarterfinals for 5A football against Grandview. So we're all
man, yeah, that's like a good roster of athletes in the family. Is there? So you said you have an older brother, an older sister,
our younger sister.
So you have older brother,
Yes.
and then a younger brother and a younger sister.
Yep.
So are you? There's 4 of you, or are there more?
Including me, there's 4 of us, but like not including me, so it's just 3 others. So
Yeah. So you have 3 siblings. Your parents have 4 kids.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a big family. I come from a big family too. I'm one of 5. I'm the eldest. What was it like growing up in your shoes with other brothers and sisters?
So growing up, I mean, we all got along with each other. I mean, like once in a while there'll be like fights and like complaining. So, but that's just ordinary family life right there. But usually 80% of the time we're all very supportive of each other and just love to have fun growing up. And I mean, of course, my brother wants to be the big boss and whatever, but I mean,
Is this your older brother?
yeah, just my older brother.
Oh, yeah.
But I kind of make fun of him for it. So.
So, like, you're a big guy, and when I say big, I mean you're very tall and you're very strong. So, is that same kind of build across all of your family?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Even like I have like an ancestry account where like my great grandfather was at the same build, and on my dad's side, my mom's side had that same build too, like in the 1940s, 1920s. So we go a long history of having like big built people in our
just big
past.
strong humans. Did you get into a lot of fights growing up?
No, not really.
No?
I was very sweet growing up.
You're the gentle giant.
Yeah, I'm the gentle giant. Yeah, I never get into fights, but maybe on the football field once in a while in high school and in college. But other than that, like outside of football, like never been a fist fight.
Well, you're not missing much. It's just, I mean, it's dangerous, honestly. I do love watching MMA though, and watching those kind of sports, those combat sports. But I don't think I would ever do it. I do have my daughter in jiu-jitsu. She's 7, and I really like watching her do that because I kind of know some stuff from watching MMA. So we just recently got some mats, and I'm going to cover this garage with some really good mats and just start rolling with her and helping her get some moves down. So I like to do that. Man, back to, so growing up, you have these parents that are superior athletes, accomplished. You said that you grew up and you were outdoors a lot. You were going to the park. You were supportive but competitive. How else were your parents raising?
They always love me no matter what I do in life, and they're like always highly supportive of the decisions and many of the challenges too that I had to overcome. So even through this year, the 500, like I get so tired of coming home, and they always cook for me. And after college, I actually moved back with them, and I'm currently still living with my parents. So they always love to support me and always make dinner. They always make sure my laundry gets done too. So they were like the backbone of what made my 500 successful this year. It was both my mom and dad being there.
Yeah, that's a huge level of support. That's awesome. You must feel pretty loved by those actions, right?
Oh yes, most definitely. Like I can't do anything else in life without them. And what I went through in life, I always bring them along with me. So they're like my huge like teammates right there to be a part of.
Yeah, that is awesome. So this is your biological mom and biological dad?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, amazing. It's hard raising 4 kids. A lot of people find themselves going through a divorce because it's that hard. But it sounds like you guys are just a really strong team.
Yes, we're a very strong team, very independent too. But yeah, if like like life throws a curveball at all of us, we always like anchor down and just go through one challenge at a time. So that's basically our motto in life, is just going through like one step, one step, one challenge at a time, basically.
So tell me about your older brother. How much older is he than you?
He is a year and a half older than me, and so basically, right now, he is a strength and conditioning coach at Baylor University for their football program. And
wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like really plugged into those teams then and close to the action.
Yes, so it's his 3rd year total being a strength coach. He's an assistant strength coach, not an actual one. So he's like a assistant performance athletic coach. And he also had to overcome many challenges too as well to get to that point. Because, people would see like, he's at a top-notch athletic program in the country, but he had to grind. He stayed many hours to work hard, and he basically had to overcome because he's also undersized too. So he's like 5'10", 5'11", but he just always proves the doubters wrong to get to that point.
Yeah. I like how you say 5'11's undersized. Yeah. That's like taller than the average adult in the United States.
Yeah.
Not everybody can be as tall as you, Dan.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean.
That's funny. What about your younger brother and younger sister? Are they close in age as well to you?
Yeah. So my sister is about 2 years younger than me, and my little brother's about 9 years younger than me as well. And my younger sister, she loved athletics too, and overcome a lot of challenges in high school too to get to that Division I scholarship at University of Albany. But then after a while, she transferred down to Florida Gulf Coast because it's a lot warmer and just a better program there as well. And she's been to like the NCAA tournaments for women's basketball like 3 to 4 years. So she loves competing at that high level.
That's amazing. Yeah, I imagine that it's really fun to compete at that level, because there's just not many people that can do that. And as an athlete, it's easy to admire and respect the athletes around you, because you can certainly learn from them, and it's just probably such a cool feeling to be in the middle of that.
Oh yes, and including my little brother too. He loves athletics as well. I mean, he played soccer, he played basketball, and I think he loves football, playing it at that level too for high school. So he's always excited to play.
Yeah. So that's kind of a big age gap between oldest brother and youngest brother. It's like 10, 11 years, I think,
Yep.
is what I calculated.
And my mom always wanted to have 4 children, so that she got to that goal really quickly.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, 4 is that's a lot. I have 2, and it's just like it's a lot. I can't imagine having 4 and being completely doubled and outnumbered.
Yeah, I mean, my mom,
That's wild.
she's just like me. She loves to be having challenges in her life to overcome, and she wants to achieve those as well. So
Yeah, being a parent is incredibly challenging, but it's the most rewarding thing
it is.
ever. It's hard to describe the love that you have for your kids. And I know you don't have any kids yet. Do you want to have kids one day?
Yeah, one day, yeah, well, I want to have kids, so just make sure the right one comes soon. I'm just waiting.
Yeah, right. The love that a parent has for a kid, it's hard, you can't describe it. You can only feel it when you become a parent, and you'll get there one day. But it's incredible. It's like this: you had this hole in your heart, and you didn't know it existed. But then that kid is born, and then that hole is filled, and you just feel this next level of love, and it keeps growing too as they develop and mature. It's like you learn to love them in newer, deeper ways, and it's incredible to see like personalities grow and hobbies, and they're just watching them grow and mature is so much fun. But yes, very challenging. You grow as a person too.
Oh yeah, most
For
definitely.
sure, because
Yeah.
they will figure out what your weaknesses are, and they will test those weaknesses for sure.
Oh yes.
So you mentioned you're from Massachusetts.
Actually, I'm from. My parents went to college in Massachusetts. I'm actually from Florida.
You were born in Florida.
Yep.
Okay, so they went to college in Massachusetts. Is that where they met? I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's where they met. Yep, in Gordon College.
Okay, and then they made their way down to Florida. Then they had you. When did you leave Florida?
So at the age of 3, because of what happened on my dad's side, I mean, it's just personal family life. We decided to pack our things and move to Colorado. But then suddenly, like 3 weeks as we got settled into Colorado, like I did not feel right. I was thirsty. I was going to the bathroom all the time, and I just did not feeling good and was just losing weight because I was a very healthy kid at that time.
This is while you're 3 years old, right?
Yeah, while I was 3 years old.
Okay.
And then my parents got me to the doctor, and I think finally they determined that I had type 1 diabetes. So as soon as we got to Colorado, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and basically my life changed forever.
Yeah, wow. Type 1 diabetes discovered at 3 years old. Is that typical for people to find out at that young age?
It can go either way. It can go at a very young age. I think that's that's where most of it is. But adults can get a 2 type 1 diabetes, so it can go either way. Depends on genetically that is there pretty much.
So you mentioned that your life changed forever at that point. How so? Can you dig into that?
There hasn't been a day where I have been needle free in my memory bank. So basically growing up, I always had to take shots, prick my finger for my blood sugar. I mean, either Greg Cummings, he's the guy who's the all-time incline numbers guy with 1,825. Like, he can relate to what I am going through in life as well. And it's basically never been a normal day. Basically checking my blood sugar, make sure it doesn't go high, because you can go sick either ways. Too low can basically you're losing your mental thinking, your abstract thinking, your decision making, and basically it's like walking on a thin tightrope each day.
And that's when the blood sugar is too low.
Yep. Yeah, when the blood sugar's too low,
You feel loopy and dizzy and not yourself at all.
Yep.
Like you can't really think and process.
Yeah, I can't process information. I can't act on information. My body goes into survival mode where I just need food. Like, that's the number one thing my brain is telling me is get food, get sugar. And after a while, when I get sugar, I become normalized again.
And what does it feel like if your blood sugar's too high?
Basically, if I don't get enough insulin in my body, it feels like having 50 pounds on you, basically. You're going to the bathroom all the time. You're like need water. You're thirsty. You basically are just like a little bit out of it, but not as out of it as low blood sugar. So I need like insulin in my body.
Okay, so if your blood sugar's too high, you have to have an insulin injection, and the insulin is that something that your body cannot produce naturally at the right level, and that's why you have to inject it into you?
Yeah, so my pancreas cannot manage my blood. Like they can't produce no insulin because anytime you eat carbohydrates or anything sugar, there's a hormone in your pancreas that releases insulin to normalize that. But my pancreas does not produce insulin anymore, so I have to rely on like natural insulin that goes into my body.
So is that constantly reading your, or what is that? Can you explain?
So this is an insulin pump, and if you see this little tubing right there, it like goes like into my body. It's like an IV stand practically, like on the go. And then I have a second needle, which is called a sensor that reads my blood sugars on the like basically 24 hours a day, and it like adjusts basically where I'm at right now.
So you have a sensor that constantly reads your blood sugar?
Yep. So that way I don't have to prick my fingers anymore. It's basically there to.
Oh, I think I've seen that. Is that on the back of an arm or like the back of a leg?
Yeah, basically
okay.
anywhere. Yeah, anywhere. It can be out of your stomach. It can be out of your leg.
I've seen people with those before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you see like some people on the Manitou Incline that have those as well. So anytime I was walking on the incline, I see a person with like an insulin pump or a sensor. I was like, "Hey, you're diabetic." They're like, "Yeah." So that's how.
Yeah, instant best friend, right?
Yeah, instant best friend. Yeah, instant feelings related. So
because they're doing something incredibly hard. It's already hard just for a person who doesn't have diabetes, and then to just add that layer of complexity on top, it's impressive. It really is. So you have this sensor that reads your blood sugar constantly, and then you have this insulin pump. Is this like maintenance free where it'll just put insulin in as needed without you having to push buttons and program it? And
yeah, I mean, still you gotta press buttons. Anytime you eat carbohydrates, you gotta insert like the grams like on the back of the nutrition box just to make sure my blood sugar levelizes. But I think it was a little harder this year with a Manitou Incline because, it's adrenaline, and adrenaline contains glucose too, which can make it like go way off course. And I mean, my blood sugar always does a good job of normalizing that too.
Yeah. So how long have you had these sensors that automatically do that? Because that must be a game changer from having to prick. Because I remember that I had a grandpa when I was younger, and he had diabetes, and he had to prick his fingers and do the needles, and it was all the time.
Yeah.
So I can just imagine like all your fingertips must hurt all the time because it's just poking them nonstop.
Yeah, growing up, because like 5 or 6 years ago, there's a company called Dexcom that was able to basically cure being free from finger stick pricks all the time, and they introduced the sensor. So basically, it's a one-time needle into your body, which lasts 10 days. And it basically is a 24-hour reading that just goes like high or low. It just reminds you to like act on that, basically, with my human knowledge of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. That seems like it must have been a game changer for sure. Because it just seems like such a balancing act to constantly have to be careful what you put in your body, be careful how you exert your body, because that will change the chemicals and the balances. And then it just seems so challenging.
It is, especially on the Manitou Incline this year. I always have to bring like low blood sugar food with me, and always have to bring extra insulin in case something happens too. Because I'm a prepper that basically want to make sure that I have the best athletic performance on each incline try on there.
Yeah, so while you were doing your 500, were there any close calls or times where you had too high or too low blood sugar and it caught? Because I know you can lose consciousness, right? If it's at the wrong level.
I never had any close calls, but I definitely felt low and definitely felt too high on the Manitou Incline a few times. And basically, I would plan to do like a double or triple. Basically you have to do more than like one time or more than 3 times to do that. And sometimes I could get in the way as well. And I just had to end up with one because I did not feel good being high blood sugar or low blood sugar. And that's what Greg had to experience too, Greg Cummings. And I mean, him and I always basically talk about that, how we both struggle with that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's not many people that do the incline with diabetes more than one time. Like, there's probably a lot of people who have done it once or half of it and gone to a bailout and called it quits. But you did 500 of them in less than a year. So yeah, I'm sure that you guys have a lot to talk about because that's pretty unique. Yeah, it really is. I've heard a couple of stories from Greg where he said, like how he had lost consciousness and in certain scenarios. I won't tell those stories since those are his stories to tell, but that's frightening. It really is, because if the right people weren't around him at that right time to do the right action, like having the knowledge to do that, he could have died.
Yeah, he could have. Yes,
absolutely.
It's such a life or death situations you gotta be in to think about like five steps ahead to make sure like you get your incline done for the day. But I know that, like my body's just not feeling it today. I know I always fight another day and I'll be back better. So
yeah, exactly. So I remember when you were doing your incline-a-thon, this was before I knew you had diabetes. Yeah. And I was like, hey, I'm going to make you something. And I made this like giant tray of Rice Krispie with frosting on it. And it's so much sugar.
Yeah.
I was like,
I can't.
I'm sorry.
I couldn't. Yeah. I mean, my blood sugar was just like going like in and out. So, I mean, I wasn't hungry. So I was like, yeah, we'll save that till victory.
Yeah, I had no idea. I would have absolutely gotten you something different had I known. I think that was one of the first times I had spoken to you. So sorry. I just wanted to say sorry about that.
No, you're good. Yeah, it's all fine.
Yeah.
I mean, we got it done, the incline-a-thon, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, that was very neat. Can you describe what an incline-a-thon is? I don't think we've defined that yet. And there might be people listening who don't know what that is.
So it's either Fred or his brother probably were the first people that invented the incline-a-thon. So
so on that, the first people
Eddie,
that invented it is Eddie did it first.
Yeah, Eddie,
but
yeah.
Brandon, Fred, and Greg were right next after that.
Yeah,
Brandon was the one who thought of it.
Yep. So it's basically 13 trips up and down the incline. So actually, 13 up, 13 back. So basically 26 miles. And I know incline's like 9/10, but it's around that area, the 25, 24 mile mark. So basically, you have 24 hours to do 13 trips up the incline and do it under 24 hours.
Yeah, and that is 27,000 foot elevation gain to do that. Yep. It's 72,000 stairs. So it's an incredible endurance test. Imagine going up 72,000 stairs. Like if I saw 72,000 stairs, I mean, it would just be an insane undertaking. But we do it, don't we?
Yeah.
For some weird reason. Why did you decide to do it?
So it was July, and I knew Rachel Jones. She's also another legendary regular at the incline, and I know she just completed like her first ever incline-a-thon, and I was like, I really want to do that someday. And of course, it was my personal friend, Coach Leo Meady, who coached me throughout my college football days. He passed away like 2 years ago, and I wanted to do something like for him to complete that hard task at hand. So I was scrolling through like dates, like actually the weather, because it was so hot that summer. It was like 90, 90, 90. I saw there was a 74-degree weather, and it was the next day. So basically, I texted you saying, hey, I'm going to try to attempt an incline-a-thon on like Friday. So.
And I think I have my notes here say that it was July 1st, 2022.
Yes.
So it was a few months ago. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I texted you saying, hey, keep it on the down low. We'll see if I go or not. So I remember waking up 4 a.m. So like, all right, we're literally about to do this 13 incline challenge. And first one was good. Second one was good. The fourth one was good. But the fifth one, sixth, seventh was hard because the sun came out and like my legs were just not getting used to like going past 4 like in a row at a time. Because the most I've ever done in a day was 6, but I split it like 3 in the morning and 3 at night.
Yeah.
So my legs were not getting used to like just going like in a row. And by like 6 or 7, I was just dying, but I just had to keep fighting, keep digging in deep in my soul just to overcome these things. But then I got help from Mother Nature. Like it started raining, it started thundering, so it was able to push me into the finish line. Even like the last 2 and 3 laps, like Ron, Jake, Andrew, Daniela were all there to support me at the last lap of the race. So like credit to them for supporting them and helping me, like encourage me to the finish line.
Yeah, it's incredible to have that kind of support, especially at the end of a challenge like that, because at a certain point it's no longer physical, it's mental.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And it's so easy to just ask yourself, like, why am I doing this? And then if you don't have a good answer to that, you start beating yourself up, and it's so easy to quit once you don't have an answer to that why question.
Yeah.
So your why was for your coach, is that right?
Yeah, it's for my coach.
Tell me like how he impacted your life and why he was your why.
So he was my motivating factor why I completed the 500 incline challenge. And he was a defensive coordinator at Colorado State University Pueblo, and just the nicest, the most humblest dude you will ever meet. He like motivated you, encouraged you, but when it comes time to football, he will be like competitive and fiery at you because he wanted you to be your best when performing college football games. So I remember first meeting him when I was in high school. He recruited me to be a defensive lineman for CSU Pueblo, and they won the NCAA Division II championship that year in 2014. And just a nice dude, and he saw something in my soul that I want you to be on our team. And basically, I was with him the last 5 years right there. So I played like on the other side of the ball with him, but he still impacted my life.
So how did he inspire you?
So I remember he told me his story actually, that in 2013 he came home from a bus ride from from a away team, and he started was not feeling well, and then finally he had to go to the doctor quickly, and then he was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer in 2013.
Jeez.
So he had a 5% chance of living at that time, and I think Mrs. Leomidi, his wife, Lauren Leomidi, said that he either had to take this experimental drug or basically wait or take his chances going in the future. So he decided to take the experimental drug, and they dug into his basically the doctors had to open him up, take the cancer out each time, but even though he'd be cleared, he still had cancer again, and it just went on and on and on, and he fought like hell for 6 years, and then finally on July 4th, 2020, he basically passed away that night on Independence Day.
Man, that's hard. It's very hard when it's such a slow process.
Mm-hmm.
You get more time with your loved ones, but you go through that challenging journey that involves a lot of pain and sadness.
It is.
And yeah, there's a lot you can learn from that. But it's never easy. That's for sure. I can relate to a story similar to that.
But despite going through all the pain, because he had the same mental mindset as me, take it, coaches in his staff would told him to take a day or take a game off, but he said, I would never quit. I will never take a game off. I'm gonna coach my ass off on each game of each game, because they need me to be a motivating factor to coach them up. And he did. He was coaching while he had a port chemo on the sidelines, and during halftime they had to change the port because with pancreatic cancer you have to have chemo in your system to get rid of those bad cells. So he was just a fiery, tough dude, and everyone respected him on that football team, and we were rallying behind him each step of the way. So he inspired me, and even though I had type 1 diabetes, him and I basically anchored together just to go through the harshest challenges of life, and I was basically there with him until he passed away.
I'm sure he'd be proud of you. That's for sure.
I know he's smiling down right now, just proud of all of us, even all the guys that he encountered along the way. And even when I saw Lauren Leomidi that I wanted to dedicate the last 500 incline for her. She told me that like there's a lot of people that came into Donald's life, but for me especially, like I played a huge impact on Coach Leo. She told me when we were doing the jersey exchange.
I love that. That's amazing. You mentioned that. Uh, oh yeah, show there's the jersey. You can
Yep.
show it to the camera.
Yep. This was Coach Leo's jersey from where he were, because he also played football at University of Colorado, and they were like the top program in the 90s. And they beat it like #1 Michigan in the 90s, and he just was a fiery dude back in those days.
You mentioned that he wanted to inspire his team, and that's why he went out every day. It sounds like he was successful because he's still inspiring you today.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned on a lot of your laps when you wanted to quit, you just thought about him and how he never quit.
Yeah.
So that kept you going.
That kept me going because diabetes can be painful, but what he went through was probably like 5-10 times more painful than I would ever go through in my life, of just constant chemotherapy. So basically, like, his lifestyle is that after a game was done, he would go to the hospital immediately. This was in 2019, his last time ever coaching a season with the Thunderwolves. He would go to the hospital all night, like with chemotherapy, to make sure that he's good and check. But he gets because you know how chemotherapy, or anyone that goes through chemotherapy, it gets tiring. It sucks the life out of you. But afterwards,
and it makes you so sick too.
Yeah.
Like it completely destroys your immune system because it's literally poison that has a benefit of killing those bad cells, but it also kills a lot of good stuff too. So
yeah,
it's when you say he's a hard dude, I'm imagining him getting chemo on the side of the football field while he's still coaching. Yeah, that's pretty hard.
Yep. And then once he is done with his chemotherapy treatment, he goes to back to the film room at our college and is just preparing for our next opponent. And he barely gets enough sleep. So that he's basically a fighter, never quit, and is basically saying, like, when your ass is on the ground, he just gets up and just plows through life at hand.
Yeah, that's an incredible personality right there. He's likely going to be somebody who motivates you for the rest of your life. I imagine.
Yes. I know that when life gets really tough, I just think of Coach. Because we all are the witnesses. Me and my teammates are the bare witnesses of what that man went through each day, and knowing that, like, even the smallest complaint, even like the little tiniest thing that could throw your day off, like, we know that we can be better than that because of what Coach Leo went through.
Yeah, that's very inspiring. Thanks for sharing that. I didn't know that it was that deep of a connection that you had with him. It sounds like you were there until the very end with him. So yeah, you really did have a big impact on his life.
Yeah. And I remember 1 month or a couple of months before he died, he like sent me a text message because, I'm just checking in on him and everything. I mean, it's 2020 COVID, so I just want to make sure that social distance and everything. I remember he sent me a text that says, like, God will use you to be a huge impact on this earth. And he said he loves me and he cares for me. And that was probably one of the final things he said to me when I got the call from my teammate on the 4th of July saying, like, I'm sorry, like, he's gone. So
what a powerful message that he gave to you, especially the part where he said he loved you as well. Mm-hmm. Because love in this world, it seems like it's such a rare thing to find, and have somebody who you care about and just genuinely love and wish the best for is an amazing thing, and that you're going to inspire and help people throughout your life. Yeah. What kind of better life is that than something doing that?
Yep. And that's why I always say DYJ. That's like his mentality for his players to follow through. It's like a motivational saying, do your job. Like, no matter what you do in life, especially on the football field, to do your job in a play, do your job like for your family, and do your job like wherever your personal goals are. So that's why, like, in my Instagram post, my Facebook post, it's always DYJ, do your job.
Okay, do your job. Yeah, I like that. That applies to a lot of different aspects of life too. Not just physical stuff, but all the other roles that you have in life. It's amazing.
Yep. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, do you have any kind of personal struggles that you deal with aside from diabetes?
So I remember growing up. There's another motivational factor why I had, like you said earlier, that discipline, that attention to detail, and why I just always go out to give it my all. Because I remember growing up, when going to school, I was placed on an IEP, which is like like I had some sort of learning disability growing up because I was a little behind in reading, a little behind in math, just a little bit behind from what the other kids are at that level. And man, that got me so fired up to basically to make sure that I outwork any of those kids to, and even outworking all the IEP like special instructors to be the person I am today. Because they try to hold me back for they try to attempt to hold me back for another year. They tried to tempt me to like go on another different direction, but I was like, no, I'm willing to fail in life to make sure that does not happen.
How old were you when you heard that news?
So I remember growing up, like something was a little off because I'm always separated from the other kids from second grade until my junior year of high school. I told them that like enough's enough. If I'm willing to fail, I'm willing to fail. Do not give me accommodations. Do not like word differently on my test or give me like an easier grade on another test for anytime in the classroom. So that's basically my mindset is if I fail, I fail. Like,
Yeah, just treat me fair, right?
yeah, just be fair. Yeah, I don't want the easy route. I want like the harder route than anyone else.
Yeah, so did that have any type of did that develop any type of insecurity in you as a young kid? Because you said it started out in second grade. That's pretty young. That's like 7 years
Yeah.
old. And at 7 years old to see that you're separated from the other kids, you're being treated differently. What did that make you feel?
I mean, it kind of felt a little like awful, but I mean, I couldn't understand why until like my middle school years. Like, why was I separated from like all the other kids? Like, basically, like, why am I in the other room, like reading like other, like trying to like catch up on my reading and all that stuff. But I remember I was going through my IEP files saying like I'll never be successful someday, or I won't be this or that. Or
These were words that you had said that you won't be successful.
My IEP instructor thinks that I won't be successful, like going to college or
These
graduating.
instructors were
Yeah.
saying that about you.
Yes.
That's horrible.
I know, right? Yeah, because I was a little behind in reading and math, they don't, because everyone, like, we're all different human beings. Like, we can be above or be below, but eventually we all get caught up to, like, communication and reading levels and all that. So, I mean, that's what the IEP's instructors thought about me, like, growing up. So that literally gave me a fire in my soul, too.
Yeah. So, how old were you when you found out that these instructors that are trying to help you are saying this kid, he's not going to succeed. He's not good enough to do that.
I remember I was cleaning out my basement like towards the end of my college semester, and that literally gave me a fire in my soul. Like,
so you found out years later.
Yeah, years later.
When you were in college, you read these notes and found out.
But I know that like IEP instructors were there, like basically in high school. But then I didn't read the files until like my early college years, late college years. What they said about me. So that basically put a fire in my soul to study harder and to practice harder on the football field in college. And then by the end of my college years, I won academic All-American as a football player.
Yes.
So they can all...
How cool is that?
Yeah, that is really cool. That's probably one of those special awards that I will take me to my heart, is just basically the struggles I went through of overcoming reading, communication issues, math issues. And basically it just takes fire and discipline, like you said, to basically overcome those challenges to become the best students in my university.
Yeah, you went from being a young kid that had these teachers that were in the teacher's lounge making fun of you, writing notes saying this guy's not going to succeed. You went from that to showing them, right? Because you won awards.
Yeah.
And you did it just because you had that fire in you and you put your mind to it.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of like teachers that supported me along the way too. But there's also a few teachers that knew that I wouldn't make it in life. So I mean, I'm not gonna name names and everything, but I know that the people that didn't believe in me, they gave me that extra push to be the man I am today, to basically outshine, to outwork, and to be loving at the same time, to have forgiveness.
Yeah, I'm really proud to hear that you took that approach, because it's very easy to give into those negative core beliefs and to say, yeah, you know what, you're right. I'm not good enough and I am dumb, or I will never be enough. It's so easy to give into that. It's a lot harder to take it and to use it as your motivation to grind harder, to earn those achievements. So way to go. That's an incredible part of your personality.
Yeah.
And it takes a big person to do that. So awesome job.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, even the support of my, even my parents. Let me tell you this story too. This is pretty cool. I remember my old elementary school, the Classical Academy. I mean, for some reason, they just didn't want me there, like going to middle school. And my parents went to like the boardroom saying, like, you don't know who this kid is. Like, he's the most hardest working kid. He loves others. And that's the reason why we will be pulling out. Even my older brother, he was willing to pull out the Classical Academy to go to middle school with me, just to like start a new life. And I mean, the Classical Academy like usually gave me like a lot of like trouble because of my diabetes, and I was a little behind in reading, but it all worked out at the end when I went to like Challenger Middle School and Pine Creek High School. And those are the stories that like helped me overcome like my challenges.
Yeah, that's great. That's really impressive. What other kind of accomplishments have you done? We talked about you had this All-American, what was it called again? All-American?
Academic All-American, like
Okay.
having the highest GPA as a student athlete in the country.
In the country?
In the country, yes.
The highest.
The highest GPA in the country.
Holy cow, man. Yeah, I'm glad you're smiling, because that's amazing. So that's like an academic achievement. You have these physical achievements of 500 Club and Incline-a-thon and all this football stuff that you've done. What other type of areas in life have you committed yourself to and achieved a lot?
I know like 2 weeks ago recently, I completed my first ever ultra marathon running 33 miles. And I know you had a segment last with Eric Klebs. Like I ran with him. I ran with Jake Gaudino, Ron Strivers. I ran with I
think Catherine was there too.
Yeah, Catherine too, yeah.
Who else? There were a few more.
I know Larry was there. I know let's see. I know Lucas was there. I know Dr. Renee was there too as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah,
And
Rick and Bob, they pulled out, right?
Yeah, Rick and Bob, yeah.
They went so hard in October.
Yeah, they did. I know, like, being like the fourth and fifth people on the planet to ever reach like into outer space in a short time month is just huge.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, so I remember I was like in the middle of my 500, and Ron's like, you should do this ultra marathon with us. So I kind of got sucked into saying, all right, we'll after my 500, we'll do like this ultra marathon. And I remember I was so excited for that day, like, because like my mindset, like I'm gonna finish this thing and we'll see how it goes. Like the first like 8 or 9 miles was so good. Like after that big point, I was just like running downhill saying, all right, this is good. But by mile 13, like my groin and like everything was starting to hurt. But I was like, man, I just got to keep pressing on. Just keep going, keep going. By that, Air Clubs was just far away. And I was just
that guy is fast.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Especially on the downhill. It's super impressive.
I think he recorded like the fastest segment on like going that high hill on that, or high mountain on that day, as I think he told me. So I mean the dude's a freak athlete. Like he's gonna do well in the future with mini ultras. But then by like I was like crossing the bridge with Nicole and
this is the Royal Gorge Bridge,
yes,
right?
Yeah,
that big suspension bridge over the canyon.
Oh yes, that was so much fun.
What was it like walking or running over that?
It was like a little sketch because it was like windy that day too. So I was just like,
You're like 1,000 feet
Yeah.
in the air, and the suspension bridge is shaking as you're running on it.
I was like looking at the side. I was like, looking at the side. I was like, ugh. Like I was like, look, but it was still like a miraculous view at the same time. And then
It's got to be the weirdest feeling to look down because I think it's a see-through bridge, right?
yeah.
And then you just see 1,000 feet beneath you is the train and the canyon.
Yeah, the Arkansas River. I mean, there's a few where, I mean, it's on wooden, like, planks, too. So, I mean, there's a few areas where you can, like, see, like, just like, through, like thousands of feet down. So I was just like,
Like your foot could slip through? Or is there some kind of safety?
I mean, there's some sort of safety, but there's a few planks where just, like, a little bigger where you can, like, see, like, this.
Oh, okay, I see.
Going down. So I was, like, a little freaked out a little bit going through. So Nicole and I went through the bridge, and I mean, at this point, I was tired. I was just walking like the uphills, but I was determined to jog through the downhills. So on each downhill, I was just jogging, and I was hurting, but I was just not quitting at the same time. I remember by mile 20, I saw Eric, and it was like a mirage. I was like, dude, what are you doing here? I was like, well, I added 4 extra miles.
Yeah, he said he took a wrong turn.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And he ran 4 additional miles to this 33-mile race. And
yeah.
Yeah, and you guys bumped into each other at the same aid station.
Yep. We bumped into each other, but I know both of us were tired, but I was determined. We were both determined to like finish this out with our heads held high. I remember I was like at mile 30, I was like, why is it not 31 miles? Is this like an actual 50K? Then it said mile 32. And then finally I got into civilization, and I was just basically walking, jogging, just like not quitting, just huffing and gruffing as everyone described me as.
Yeah, you are a loud guy when you're getting tired.
Yeah, I'm very like loud too. So, and then like the last 20 feet, I saw the finish line. I was like screaming like "For Leo!" and just started just taking off. Actually, Nicole was a little like ahead, and I was like passing her. I actually like scared her. And then as soon as I get through the finish line, I like collapsed, and I was just like laying on the ground like a starfish. But I completed something that 99.9% of Americans would never complete. Was going way above 26.2 miles. I ran 33 miles around that area.
Did you liked it when you finished? You looking back at it, it sounds like you loved it.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, like for 3 or 4 days, I was in pain like afterwards, but I absolutely loved the challenge of overcoming a huge obstacle that is like even they gave like, was it like the time, like was it when the course closes, like the
cutoff time?
Yeah, the cutoff time. Yeah. It was like 8-9 hours.
I heard Ron was super close to not making the cutoff time.
Yeah, DNF, yeah. But I mean,
but he made it, right? Like within a minute.
Yeah, within a minute to go. Yes, he made it. So we were all pretty happy about that.
That's amazing. I'm sure all of you were yelling, "You have 1 minute, go!"
Yeah. But we all knew Ron would make it. Like, he's a very athletic dude as well, so that's huge respect to him too.
Yeah, that is awesome. And you mentioned that you were walking a little bit. That's totally normal in these ultras.
Yeah.
People do that. It's just it's a lot of miles, and it's hard to just completely run all of that straight.
Right.
Do you have plans to do something bigger than that?
Yeah, I really want to do another ultra in 2023. Like, I mean, I'll be back here on the incline once in a while just for good training. I mean, good exercise, but I really want to do another ultra, either early spring, late summer. So that's basically my goal.
I got an ultra for you. Have you seen my course?
Yes,
the incline 52 miler.
The 50 miler.
Yeah.
Eesh. Yeah, I've heard from John C. He's the second guy that ever completed it. He's like, it is hard, but it is worthwhile to look into it. So John C. is like trying to like recruit me to do that.
Maybe we should just do like a couple laps, you know? You have to do 8 laps to do it.
Right.
But you go up the incline, and then you go down bar,
yeah.
And then you go to Hiawatha and back. So it's a good mix of uphill and then
Right.
downhill trail running, and then also city,
Right.
which is pretty unique for an ultra marathon. Usually it's not all of those 3 combined. So the downhill is what will hurt you, though. So you got to be careful on the downhill.
Yeah, it's like that's where I heard it's like that's where like the highest test occurs, is like not just because uphill is like 2 miles each lap, but like the downhill is just like 4 miles.
It's so much impact as you're running down, and it's very easy because this is going to be like a 20-hour ordeal. So you're going to start in the dark and you're going to end in the dark, likely. And it's easy to twist your leg, twist your ankle or something. Bob did it with me the first time. He didn't complete, though. He stopped at like mile 38 or so because he twisted his ankle, and it was so swollen. It was like this big.
Jeez.
And yeah, I was so bummed because I really wanted to finish it with him. He was actually going to beat me. So I was proud to run with him, though, but then he hurt himself, and he still needs to do it too. So he said it's on his list. He's going to get it done.
Oh yeah, knowing Crazy Bob, yeah, he can do anything he sets his mind to. Like, he's like literally like the most awesome dude.
Yeah, it's a pretty challenging course for sure. So I'm looking forward to getting back in and doing something hard like that too. It's been a little too long.
Yeah.
Been away from it. We've been starting a business, and I've been really putting a lot of time into that. But those are just excuses, right? I could sleep less, and I could do more hard things.
There you go.
Have you ever done anything in cold water, like creek dips and?
I know what you're thinking. The little creek dip right there.
Yeah.
I really want to do that sometime. I know.
Well, tomorrow it's going to be like 4 degrees, so that would be a perfect day.
Yeah. I know Rudy likes to do it all the time too, and he's usually a big fan of the creek dips. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Hopefully sometime in the future in dead end of winter.
Yeah, John Carmichael and I, we're going to see how many different people we can get to do it with us, because he loves it just as much as I do. And we want to get to like 20 different people that we can get into the creek. Last year we got, I think, about 10. So we want to try to double it and build that he calls it the cult, the creek cult.
Oh, heck yes. If I'm available on a cold weekend, call me up. I will do that.
Yeah, it's pretty neat because you have to crush through the ice, and then you just get in and you fully submerge your body. And the longest I ever did it, and this is crazy because it surprised me too, was 15 minutes straight. And I didn't have a timer or anything. I just started the video on my phone, and I wanted to do 10 minutes. But when I was laying in that water, I had it all the way up to my nose, like my mouth was under.
My gosh.
It was just like that. And I had these earmuffs on, so I couldn't hear anything. And I was just looking up at the snow and the aspen trees, and it was very peaceful.
Yeah.
Because when you're in cold water like that, your adrenaline is going, your body's in survival mode. It's almost like you immediately go into a meditative state because it's just so intense.
Yeah.
Your body's just, it's not used to something like that. So that helps me a lot because I have major depressive disorder. And if I'm feeling off in a day, I could get into that creek and it just like shocks my body back to normal. It's pretty amazing.
That's amazing.
So I use it as like medicine sometimes. And that day I was feeling pretty down, dangerously down. So I was like, let me just go in the creek. And I was just like, I'm just going to lay here. I don't care what it feels like for 10 minutes. That's my goal. And I was laying in there, and I didn't want to get out and it'd be like 9 minutes and 40 seconds. So I kept going, okay, 30 more seconds. 1, 2. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to count to 100 one more time. And then I got out and it was like 15 and a half minutes.
Oh.
And it was too long. I was by myself. It was dangerous.
Yeah.
I actually did get hypothermia. I remember laying in the shower just like I couldn't stop convulsing.
Yeah.
And the groin area was what hurt the most.
Yeah.
That hurt absolutely the worst. I thought I broke something.
Hey, that's how people at Titanic died right there.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Because that water is 32.4 degrees. That's the coldest I measured. I had a meat thermometer put it in there. Oh, gosh. It's very cold.
There you go. Wow.
So I just want people to dip in it real quick and then get out real quick and see what they like, how they experience it. It's real fun.
Nice.
It's a good way to bond with new people too.
Hey, I'm all in for the dead end of winter right there.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, I'll hold you to it. It'll be right around the corner for sure.
Nice.
What other type of adrenaline pumping things do you like? Like, would you ever go skydiving or have you?
Heck yes. I'm a man without any fear right there. I love trail biking. I love running. I mean, I'm willing to open and do anything that's like what's it, death defying gravity and all that. So I mean, I think I went like bungee jumping one time, and I was like the only person that did it out of my family.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, my family calls me the crazy one. I remember I was taking a week trip to Universal Studios, and my goal was I want to ride the roller coaster like 20 times. Even I bought like one of those like cut passes where you get in
Oh
front
yeah,
of the line,
the fast pass
the
kind of
fast
thing.
pass. So I rode like the Hulk roller coaster like 10 times. I rode like the Jurassic World roller coaster like 15 times that day. So I was never stopping. I was always on the go. My brain was just like rattled up. So I'm really that type of adrenaline junkie.
It's definitely there's something to it. A lot of people don't get it. They don't like adrenaline. They don't like things that are risky. I love it. Like if I'm bushwhacking and I get to a peak and there's like a crags at the top, I love like jumping from crag to crag and just standing on the edge of a cliff and looking down or skydiving. I've done that a few times. I've done the tandem where you're connected to the pro that's done it 20,000 times.
Jeez.
So those guys, awesome. What I want to do at the next level is you learn how to skydive on your own. It's not tandem.
Right.
And when I looked into it, the first day you do 6 hours of class.
Yep.
And on that first day, you jump out of a plane by yourself.
Yeah. Oof.
So it's like, it's a really big commitment on that first day. So I've always been a little intimidated. I haven't done it yet, but I want to. That would be a cool next challenge.
Oh yeah.
We should do that. That would be cool.
Oh yes, I'm all in for that, Trevor.
That would be a good winter challenge. It'd be so cold.
Oh yeah.
What other hobbies do you have?
Let's see. I'm a history. I graduated college in history, so I love studying Russian history. I love American history. Я знаю по-русски. I know a little bit of Russian too. So.
And what was that? What did you say?
I know Russian.
Oh, okay, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Do you know more than that?
I know just basic conversation level. My goal, I want to be more fluent like 5-10 years down the road. And actually I met a friend from Moscow. Her name's Arena, and it was like during COVID, and she's like, you need to learn Russian one day. So she inspired me to learn a little bit of Russian. And actually, we were supposed to meet up, but then the war in Ukraine kind of put everything to hold. But we still communicate once in a while each day. So her and I are always breaking down barriers of like language barrier and even cultural like friction, because the United States and Russia, they don't get along really well. So that's basically how I learned Russian, was my good friend from Moscow, Arena. So
yeah, that's very interesting. So, because there's such a different culture there, and does she have I think I read a study somewhere like 80% of Russians don't agree with the actions that the government is doing. Is that true from your experience?
A lot of them actually disagree with what Vladimir Putin is doing in Ukraine right now. So when I called Arena that day that Russia is currently invading, they're like, yeah, we don't agree.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is. They're trapped by their own government. Like if you disagree, you get 15 years in prison. Especially what's going on with Brittany Griner right now. Because she's trying to escape from Russia, and they know she's a big basketball player, so they might have like implanted it
was a weed pen, wasn't it? Something like that.
And she's currently serving like 10 years right now in some penal colony in the middle of Russia, and it's horrible, which I've read from other American prisoners over there.
It's so easy to take for granted where we live. Mm-hmm. It's so easy to take for granted freedom because we're born into it. And when you start to look at other places in the world, it's shocking, because the things that just seem like natural given rights are not prevalent in a lot of places in this world.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember in the early 1990s, like Russia finally had like their little freedom. Sorry, I'm a little history nerd each day.
Go for it. I love it.
Yeah, I remember like in the 1990s, I mean, when reading about like the study of Russia, they gave like freedoms, and capitalism came into Russia because it used to be a communist state. And then as corruption came into like this president, Boris Yeltsin, And then all of a sudden, like Vladimir Putin came and he wanted to bring like Russia back to the Soviet Union again. So I mean, that's what we're seeing these days too, because Russia, like the topic of Russia and the United States is like very like controversial. Like people don't get what it is sometimes, like the culture, but I mean that's what they've been operating the past like hundreds of years.
So what causes you to be so fascinated with something that so many people in this country distance themselves from?
So I remember my teenage years because, I'm a history nerd. That's like my passion in life is history. I remember I was reading about the Cold War and we somehow don't like Russians. We didn't like the Soviets because they think a lot different and they have a different type of government. So I kind of want to get into like a historical investigation why we never liked the Soviet Union growing up, and we should fear them. We should not like them. But then as I was like researching, it's just basically, politics and government trying to divide basically the last like 50 years. So that's basically the cause of how we distance ourselves from Russians. But there's a period like in the 90s where we were cool with them. But then when Vladimir Putin tried to separate, like trying to get his propaganda out, and then we try to, politics going on. That's kind of like how the cause why United States and Russia can't still get along today.
Yeah. How old were you when you found out you liked studying history? And
when I was second grade, I loved the Revolutionary War, like the American Revolution, and I just kind of got hooked on reading like George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, and all that stuff. So that's basically my passion for history. Even I majored in history in college, so it always followed through with me.
have you ever been to the Wax Museum up in Denver?
No, I haven't.
You should go. You would love it.
I heard it's so dope.
Yeah, you would love that.
Yes, I always want to go to the Wax Museum. I always want to go to the battle sites like Gettysburg and Fort Sumter, like all the Civil War stuff.
You'd be the guy that goes on a road trip, and every time there's those metal historical marker signs on the side of the road, you'd stop at every single one of them to read them all.
Oh, yes, most definitely. I mean, my parents, like growing up, my parents liked to go to these beaches and hotels. I never liked to relax. I wanted to explore. That's like my personality always is I'm an explorer. I want to find out, I want to learn new things. That's basically like who I am personally, is finding out everything new, and even reading histories. That's who I am.
Yeah, now that you're grown up and you've gone through college and you're not dependent on anybody anymore, do you see yourself for like the rest of your life probably traveling and going to new places? And
yes,
okay.
I'm always willing to travel new places, and my dream is to go to Europe. My dream is to travel to like other places around Eastern Europe too, once that whole mess gets settled down. But I really want to go to like Ukraine someday, Russia someday, once it's safe to do so.
Well, yeah, I imagine that you would thrive in that type of environment because you get to learn so much, see all of these cultural sites and historical sites, and like you said, investigate and learn. Mm-hmm. So that's the best way to do it.
That's
in person.
Who I am.
Yeah, there's a lot to do here also while you're waiting. Where have you traveled in the United States?
I usually go back to Florida because I have a lot of family there that I visit. I visit my brother sometimes in Texas. I've been to Wyoming a few times because that's where my brother went to college a few times. I think I went to East Coast a few times because my uncle lived in Washington, D.C. one time, so I always got to see the history monuments. And
yeah, there's a lot to see up there for sure.
Oh, yes. I loved the Lincoln Memorial, Washington Memorial.
Man, all those museums, the Smithsonian's, because you can just go from one to another, and it's. We were there for a couple weeks. I had a work trip, and I was jealous because I had to work, but Holly and the kids got to go to all these museums every single day, and I would start super early. Like I would wake up at 4 a.m. and I would drive. The traffic there is horrible, so it would take me an hour to go like 5 miles, and I would get to the office, and I would try to get off at like 2 or 3. Plus an hour to get back, and the museums closed at 5 p.m. and I would get back at like 4 o'clock, and I was like, let's go, we got an hour. I gotta go see some stuff. Yeah. So, but it's really amazing the different types. They have space museums, and they have animal museums, and just Egyptian culture and all sorts of stuff everywhere, and it's fascinating. You could spend a lifetime there learning.
Yeah, it's so much places to see there in Washington D.C. It's pretty like marvelous what historical stuff that they kept the last 250 years as we're as a nation practically.
Did you see all the important documents, Declaration of Independence and the Constitution?
Yeah. Actually, in college, I used to intern at the National Archives for like 2 months, and
No way.
I got to see like, Abraham Lincoln's like personal photographs. I think the craziest thing I ever saw at the National Archives was Ava Braun's like personal photo albums. If you guys don't know who Ava Braun is, it was the wife of Adolf Hitler. So I got to see Adolf Hitler's personal photo albums, like him in shorts, him being all friendly. Never saw him like, making angry speeches and everything. So that's the craziest thing I ever saw. Another one was his x-ray of his skull, actually, because, they did assassination attempt on him, and they had to check to see if like he had like a concussion or shrapnel in his brain. So they took like an x-ray photograph, and they even like interrogated the doctor, and he like put everything on the table for Hitler's personal health stuff.
Wow. Man, seeing his personal photo albums from his wife, that's probably something he wanted to hide from history for sure. So that I can't imagine how rare those items are.
Those are so rare to see practically, because like if you search a YouTube video like his speeches, like he's always decked out like in his like Nazi stuff and everything, his whatever. Like he's always a serious person, very angry, very passionate. But you saw like his human side. It's like it's like a cultural shock.
Yeah, for real.
Of what I got to witness at the National Archives as an intern there, working there. So
you were there this is in DC.
Yeah,
for 2 months. You were living there.
Yeah, during the summer. Yeah, during the summer. I took there's a period like during the summer period where we get off from football. So I wanted to spend time doing something extra for my resume. So I spent like the summer there from June to July. Basically being an intern, like scanning photographs, like historical photographs, and like describing them and put them on our catalog, and even for future researchers for to prepare them.
What a cool opportunity. I love that. That's amazing. Yeah. And then you were there for 2 months doing that. Where were you living? Because it's so expensive to live there.
I knew of a family friend, and I just paid him like a few amount of money for me to live with a family friend.
Yeah, okay. So you had a local connection.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. What an awesome opportunity.
Oh, yes. It's pretty gnarly seeing all the historical, like, basically our nation's, like, addict, as my ex, like, coworkers at the National Archives called it. It's just an addict of, like, history of our nation's history. So that's pretty sure I got to see pretty much every day.
Yeah, it's amazing, because right in that just it's like a couple square blocks, almost less than a square mile, is the founding father documents of the country, the archives, the White House, the Supreme Court, the Capitol building, the monuments, and it's just amazing in that area. There's so much of the country's history right there all together.
Oh, yes. It's pretty cool.
Did you get to go into the Capitol building, and did you do tours like that? And
oh, yes. I went to DC a few times, so I got to see like a little bit around the Senate building, the House of Representatives. I saw like the Rotunda. My family friend got a ticket for me to go see the White House too in 2015. So I got to see like, the Blue Room,
wow.
like the main level at the White House, the big picture of Lincoln like there. So, I mean, yeah, I got to tour around the White House too there.
Man, for someone who loves history, I bet those were probably some of the greatest months of your life.
Yeah, those were, yeah. Oh, yes. So, yeah, that was basically like the most favorite part about being in DC, is got to see pretty much everything while I was there.
Yeah, that's amazing. So how do you have this passion for history? How do you monetize that and like make a career out of it? How does that work?
It can go one or two ways. You can be like a researcher for, for like museums. You can be a museum specialist. You could be, like a museum specialist, a museum curator that like helps maintain all the like historical documents. Or you can be going a doctorate road, be a professor, or be an like an author too. So that's a lot of like what the career's about it too.
Yeah, I know that sometimes you don't want to have a career of your passion because then you lose the love for it because you get sick of it. Like too much of something is bad.
Yep.
So is this just going to be a hobby, like a passion for you?
Yeah, just more like a hobby, not like a full-time job. So
Yeah.
that's a hobby's like a good thing that you get to like discover and
Because
be
it's fun,
Yeah,
and
it's
if
fun.
it's
Yeah.
your career, then it's stressful, and a lot of times it loses the fun.
Yeah.
That's probably a good decision.
If you do it for
sure.
fun, yes, that's what makes a hobby a hobby is what you love so much without like external pressure just being on you about it too.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. So, do you have any other type of like random talents or like I'll tell you one of mine. A couple weeks ago, I had this Rubik's cube. I've had it my entire life, and I finally was like, I'm just gonna watch a YouTube video and figure out how to do this thing. And I learned it. And now I can do it in a minute and a half. So that's kind of a neat thing that I just learned.
I know like one of my hidden talents is I like to play the ukulele actually. I only know like 4 or 5 chords, but I can sing like Kiss a Girl by Little Mermaid. I can do Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I can play a few like church songs too. So, I mean, I rarely play it like once or twice a year, but after a while you kind of like know the little strum patterns of it.
Oh, that's cool. I am not musically inclined. I've tried. I just can't do it.
There's someone who's very expert, but I'm not very expert, so like a little beginner. So that's one of the hidden talents I do have is playing the ukulele. Because my older brother played in college, my little sister also played in college. So I was a remaining person to like, you know what? Let me give that a try.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's neat. Can you do any other instruments, or is it just that one?
Just
that
the
you've tried?
ukulele. It's one of the most easiest instruments to learn. Hopefully, my advice to everyone that learns the ukulele, just learn like the 4 main strumming patterns and just go like down, down, down. And then as you get more confident, you learn more songs. So that's kind of the coolest thing about learning the ukulele.
That's great. Let's see. So, when you were doing back to athletic stuff, so when you were doing all of these laps on the incline, did you ever have any injuries that came up? How did you keep injury away?
Actually, a few times I twisted my ankle on the Manitou Incline a few times. Like especially on my the last week of February, I wanted to get like because my goal on the incline is to get 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, like 50, averaging at 50 inclines per month, so I can be done by October.
So 10 months of 50 was your goal.
Yeah.
Did you achieve that?
Yes, I did. Well, the last month I was a little behind going into my October goal. I was at 403, but I had to like amp up and do 97 in the month of October, which was I decided to use that as a vert challenge, and I ended up getting 10th place overall out of 130 people.
That's very cool.
So I remember the second week of February, I twisted my ankle really bad on my left ankle, and I was out for a week. So those were the challenges I overcame was my ankles because they're very, very weak. That's probably the weakest part of my body is my ankles. So I just make sure I was like going slow down the incline, jog like a little bit of jogging. Then going up the incline, I had no problems at all. So I was
Yeah, you have an interesting technique going up. I always see you like bear crawling up the stairs.
Yeah, so
there's not too many people that do that.
Yeah, so usually I'm a bigger guy, so I know if I get to after the split stair, like around 1300 is when it gets very steeper. So if I know if I get on all fours, I can utilize my whole body to help me pave my way to the top of the incline. So I use that technique always just to avoid getting like exhausted from just going on 2 legs.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so that way I'm not like stressing my whole body out, like my knees, my joints. I just use my arms as well just to help me finish going to the last step of the incline and just keep going doubles and triples and even incline thought it helped me too.
Are you hiking more of the local terrain now outside of the incline now that you're finally done with having to do it 50 times a month.
So once I'm finally done, I mean, I took like 2-3 weeks off right now. So I mean, I go back to the incline once in a while. I want to do Santa Fe Trail. That's right next to my house. It's just for running, for walking. And then at my house we have a trampoline, so I usually jump more on the trampoline. So I mean, I've been jumping since I was like.
Do you do a bunch of flips and all sorts of crazy tricks?
I wish we did that. My trampoline cannot do that. I can't. We don't have enough springs to like get me to flip. But if I go to like a professional place, I can do like back flips and forward flips and acrobatics too.
Oh, that's neat. Of course you can. You're very athletic.
Yeah.
We went to one of those for a birthday party for some kid, and it was fun because they had these 15-foot tall basketball hoops, and you can jump and just like slam dunk it. It's a blast.
It is.
And they have trampolines on the wall, so you can jump and bounce off the wall. And
that's so much fun. I love that.
There's all that crazy stuff. It's so cool. Easy to get hurt though if you land wrong, but it is awesome.
It is.
Yeah, so I don't blame you. I'd jump on trampoline too. My kids love it. I've recently gotten them into archery and shooting some BB guns, and we do that just behind the house out on the trail a lot, and they're really getting good at it. My daughter can shoot just these soda cans from 20 yards away, and she's only 7, and she's just aiming that BB gun, and she gets it so often.
It is.
Or we'll draw these little pictures on paper plates and tie them in the trees, and she'll hit that thing. So girls are always better at shooting than guys. It's just
that's true.
It's just, I don't know. They have a better eye or something. But yeah, it's neat because you never know what you show a kid at a young age, like if that's going to be their thing, and then it just completely changes the direction of their life because you've now shown them something that they're naturally gifted at, and then they just take it and they run with it. So what were the things that you were shown as a kid? Was it athletics and just that's what your parents showed and role modeled you, so that's how you became the person you are today?
Yes, basically growing up is we're always hiking, we're always going to parks, we're always doing something very athletic, like we never got to, play video games as much growing up, so we're always very outdoorsy. So I mean, that's kind of like the role model my parents gave to me is always going to athletics because it's a long-lasting life that will have than just playing video games and just sitting around all the time. Like I never did that because I was so energetic. I usually get everyone going outside, doing like anything athletic as possible just to do a healthy lifestyle is basically I grew up on.
Yeah, that's so cool that your parents gave you that and just set you on that path for the rest of your life.
Yep.
Super cool. Well, Dan, we have been talking for almost an hour and a half. That went by very fast.
That did. I loved showing every aspect of my life, and thank you so much for having me just to get me to be myself and getting me to basically telling my whole story. So it's awesome. Thank you so much, Trevor.
Oh, for sure. I'm just glad you're here. I appreciate you taking the time. That was a blast. So
that was.
You take care. Thanks for being here, and look forward to hiking with you again in those creek dips.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to hold you to it.
Oh, yes. I'll be there, Trevor. Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for letting me share my story for everybody.
For sure. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Woo.
I looked down at the time, and I was like, holy cow.